Hey folks, welcome back. Quick ride out here just a minute ago in the old club car. I think this thing's probably about a mid-90s unit. Bought this thing for like 500 bucks way back when. It didn't run. I got it running, and this thing gets probably more miles than the car does on the road. I'm out here in the woods, definitely more than I'm out on the road. Now the sawmill is what we're going to be firing up in just a minute. I've got some fresh spruce logs ready to go. These spruce came down with some wind we had recently. Well, almost came down with the wind. It blew over and then I pulled it down with a winch. Now this lower section here you can see has some rot. Very common with these trees, I find, along with the balsam fir I've got. Once it gets a bit older, it starts to rot a little bit. We get some ants that get in there, so I don't know how far up the tree this rot goes, but as you can see, it's certainly going to take away some of the lumber, but there's still going to be some good stuff in there. That sort of brings me to my point before we get going here. You see all these red pines around me. I estimate, based on the spacing of the trees, there is probably 12 to 15,000 red pine trees in this area alone. This is not the only area that I own. I own an area of forest surrounding this as well, and because of that, I can draw from a lot of area to gather logs for making lumber. One of the problems though is I want to thin this red pine forest, but I keep getting drawn away because I've got trees that get blown down every single day. See these trees here, or logs rather? They came down just out of the blue. I was going for a walk through a section of the trails I don't often go to. These were laying on the ground, recently blown down. I didn't want them to sit there and rot, so here I am hauling them out. I've got those. I've got these are just blowdowns. These don't include, well, a whole bunch of trees that I know that are on the ground that are just waiting for me to get some time to go and pick up. That brings me back to a bit of a problem I have. It's not really a bad problem, I suppose, but I have so many trees that are blown down or about to be blown down or just sitting there needing to be cut down that I don't often get time to get out here and thin the red pine forest. And as a result, I am certainly way behind the 8 ball here. I want to get out here and thin because that's going to help the remaining red pine trees grow bigger, but it's just such a backlog, especially in the warm weather. For those of you who saw logs, maybe you cut down trees, you'll probably know this. If you cut down a red pine tree like this, let it lay on the ground or even cut it up and put it up on a log deck, within a few weeks you'll start getting boring insects going into it, and then you just waste the tree. So I can't exactly cut it down and stockpile it, because as long as that bark's on that tree and the weather's warm, you're going to be getting insects into it before long. You probably have seen sawmills sort of combat this. Sometimes it's for other reasons as well, like shrinkage, but they can wet the log, put it into a pond, put a sprinkler on it, and that can help to alleviate some of those insect problems. As I said before, it can also help to alleviate some of the shrinkage before it hits the sawmill. You don't want the wood to dry out before it hits the sawmill, because that can change the structure of the wood that's made. Anyways, I got these to saw up today, so that's exactly what we're going to do. In just a minute, we'll clear off the sawmill. We'll throw my little boards in these little spacers here, and we'll see what comes of that. I think if you guys have been around the channel before, you've probably seen these before. I just made them so that I could roll logs this way as opposed to that way against the log stops. I just keep them inside there, and then I'll grab a hold of the log stop, put it in there, and it just makes it a bit safer so the log doesn't roll all the way off. If that happens, well, that becomes a problem. Okay, let's not stand here though. Gosh, that's going to be close for my ramps here. Ooh, see what happens. Oh, you know why that's awful? I didn't bring my tractor out here today. What do you think the odds are we could roll it up there? Like if I get one end on and I use the, I don't know. Gosh, that's awful. Awful start. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. No, that thing's, we're not going to be able to move that. Okay. Change of plans. Okay, staying clear. Just as I'm about to finish slabbing out this piece to make some 2x6s, just have a look at this log here. See how it's not quite on the bunk? That's a lot of overhang from that bunk to this one without any support. So if you can push that log up here onto the bunk, all the better. If you come back here, I definitely, look down there, I definitely have enough overhang there. I can push it down a bit, so that's exactly what I'll do. That'll just prevent me from getting my, my log doing this. You'll notice with lumber, if you start to get this side being a little bit wider than the other side, it could be because it's not supported adequately. no big hiccups aside from that first log in terms of what I had going on the sawmill. You saw my laser setup, but inside the lubrication tank up there, I had washer fluid. We do have a few nights still where it's getting below freezing, and so I'm hesitant to switch over 100% to a lubricant that can freeze. That stuff will stay in there probably till the tank's empty. At that point, I sure hope the cold weather's gone. The last thing I'm going to leave you with as the rain starts to fall down almost on cue. If you were in my situation, you have a huge amount of forest around you, you've got logs galore coming down from the wind, what would you do? Would you go after those logs that are constantly blowing down, bring them to the sawmill first? Or would you get after the thinning job that you know has to be done in order to allow the rest of the red pines that are left to grow big? If I don't thin sooner than later, the growth will be stunted. That's a guarantee. What do? Do I leave the logs that are on the ground from blowdowns in the bush to rot? Or do I haul them out and hope the red pines that I'm sort of leaving in the waiting are still good when the time comes? I'm not too sure. Probably many sleepless nights on that very question. If you have any comments, input, please put it down below. As always, do yourself a favor, get outside, enjoy nature, and I'll see you next time. And please, if you haven't done so already, please like this video, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you next time.